Hey everybody, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Sarah Ann Bale. Today we are doing a pesto ChangO. We're gonna do a Mexican inspired pesto, and we're gonna do a classic Italian pesto, but we're gonna dress tomatoes instead of pasta. For our Mexican inspired pesto, we're gonna go nut-free, but we're gonna take inspiration from Mexican cooking and use pepitas, little pumpkin seeds. That's where we're gonna get that nuttiness, that crunch. I love cilantro. Anytime you're making a pesto or a chimichurri or an herb sauce, it's a great way to use the entire stalk of the herb. You could cut off the stalks if you want, but they're yummy. We want to use as much of our food as possible. I'm gonna add just 1 clove of garlic and a jalapeno. All of the heat from our jalapeno actually comes from all these seeds and the ribs. I personally love the heat. I'm gonna leave the ribs in there, but I am gonna take out the seeds. Throw her in whole, a solid pinch of salt. Anytime you are going to add fat to anything, it's an opportunity to add health. Because we're doing a Mexican inspired pesto, I'm actually gonna use avocado oil. Super good for you. And the flavor of the avocado is gonna complement the other herbs and spices that we naturally already have in our pesto.
You're the pesto round, and no one's ever gonna get you down. You're the pesto round.
Anytime you're doing a new flavor profile, a chefy trick to remember is if it grows together, it goes together. If you're playing with new flavors and you're wondering, are they gonna play nicely together? Think like a pina colada, pineapples and coconuts grow from the same region of the world. So that's why they naturally complement each other. So if you're new to building flavor profiles, remember if it grows together, it goes together. Now we're just gonna let our food processor do all the hard work for us, and we're gonna pulse it. You don't wanna just blend right away because then it's gonna pulverize everything at the bottom and not chop anything at the top. We're gonna pulse it until everything is thoroughly chopped and mixed, and then blend everything nice and smooth. Once it's got its head start, just let it rip. Sometimes it helps to go the other direction just to catch everybody in there. Just in case anything stuck to the top, just give it a little encouragement. There it is. Look at that color. Since we're doing a Mexican inspired pesto, we're gonna do Mexican inspired flavors in our pasta. I actually have a black bean pasta. Just so you know, black beans are an excellent source of fiber, plant-based protein, and are especially rich in folate or vitamin B9. We're just gonna toss our pesto over our black bean pasta. I always like to take the blade out of my food processor first. Don't let it fall on you. I'm not a vegan person, but this is an incredible, satisfying vegan recipe. Toss her up. You can't mimic that freshness unless you make it yourself. I'm using a fettuccine because it actually has a good amount of surface area since it's a nice flat pasta. Every different pasta shape has a job for different sauces and things. Oh yes. That's it. It's literally that easy. If you want to add an extra punch to your herbaceous sauce, give it a splash of vinegar and you're on your way to a chimichurri. Now we're gonna make our Italian-inspired pesto. Traditionally, an Italian pesto has a Parmesan cheese, which is amazing and it's worth every penny. I'm gonna use a really high-quality Romano cheese because it's gonna have the same nuttiness and a really, really great saltiness and texture. We're gonna celebrate a different ingredient that is just naturally a little less expensive. When a recipe is more simple, the individual ingredients need to shine. If you cut corners, it's gonna show. I'm gonna add a little bit of oregano, just because I think it's delicious. To get all those pretty leaves off, we're actually going to gently pull the opposite direction of the stalk. Now we're going to add lots and lots of basil. Stems and all, get it all in there. Whew, it smells so good. You know you have really, really good basil when you have that sweet aroma, but just a little bit of zip in there too. Definitely gotta add a clove of garlic, healthy dose of salt. I'm gonna use artichoke hearts in place of my pine nuts. My artichoke hearts are also soaking in olive oil. So we're gonna use the same olive oil the artichoke hearts are in to blend up our pesto so we have extra flavor infused into it. Anytime we're gonna use any kind of fat, we wanna use as much flavor as possible. And then on top of all of that, we're just gonna pour that artichoke heart infused olive oil. Now we're gonna pulse her up. As you're blending, what I'm listening for is that nice smooth zzz. If you hear in there, you know that there's still chunks that are being worked out. You want to still see flecks of herbs in there, but you don't want any hunks of cheese or anything like that. You want everything to be incorporated. If you start to hear that consistent zzz, try reversing the direction of your blade to make sure you hear that same consistent whir. Now she's ready. Get her all dressed up. I have about 2 pounds of beautiful grape tomatoes here that I've just sliced in half. I like to just slice them in half so you have that pop from that yummy tomato skin when you bite into it, but they're opened up on the inside so the flesh of the tomato can absorb all of that delicious pesto. Don't ever be afraid to dress something up in an unconventional way. I like using a pesto over a tomato salad because then I'm not eating a whole giant bowl of pasta, but I'm still feeling satisfied with that yummy pesto flavor. And then on top of that, we're playing into where the flavors originated with our tomatoes, and they just sing together. Toss her up. Look at all of those colors. You've got the rich reds from the tomatoes and the vibrant green from our herbs. You know there's more nutrition in there if it's already naturally colorful. Now we get to eat. I've already plated some of my delicious Mexican-inspired pesto, and I'm gonna plate up some of my tomato pesto. Oh, yummy. Now we get to eat it. I'm gonna start with a tomato. When you bite into it, it pops. And then all of those layers of flavor, they're like different fireworks as part of the same show. You've got the cheese and the basil and the artichoke. A sponge of pesto. That black bean pasta is super rich. My brain thinks I'm eating like a big, heavy pasta, and my taste buds are like, no, this is fresh, unique, wonderful food. Thank you for cooking diet-free with me. Please let me know what flavor profiles you're starting to play with. Let me know what other recipes that you want to see us do diet-free next, and I will see you next week with a new diet-free recipe.